So how does Joe Biden deal with this whole attempt by Trump to dirty him up and claim that Hunter Biden having that job in Ukraine is somehow corruption? I had a fascinating conversation about this. Check it out. Ding the bell. Leave your comments. Share it with your friends. And please subscribe to our channel. They're doing this whole riff, right? This whole, oh my God, you know, Hunter Biden had this job, you know, and Joe Biden's being asked about this everywhere. And by the way, Joe Biden's got to come up with a good answer for that. His son has already said, his son Hunter Biden has already said, my taking that job showed poor judgment. And Hunter is right up front about the fact that he has had a lifetime of poor judgment. He was a drug addict. He went into rehab. I believe he got kicked out of a school. I mean, there's a collection of, shall we say, missteps that Hunter Biden has made. And I'm not saying this to be critical. I mean, I can point to a long series of probably similarly stupid mistakes that I've made in my life, including abusing drugs as a teenager. You know, so yeah, but it was poor judgment on my part, but sometimes. but my bottom line here is Hunter Biden took this job, as did the president of Poland. They were, you know, the Ukrainian company was trying to clean up their image, so they were getting some high-profile people on their board of directors, and it was bad judgment to do that. Or what Joe Biden should have said when Barack Obama tasked him with the job of cleaning up Ukraine, helping get rid of the corrupt prosecutor. Joe Biden should have said, I can't do that because my son works for a Ukrainian company, and it would look like a conflict of interest. Either Joe or Hunter or both of them should have said no. And now, if Joe Biden wants to put all this behind him, in my humble opinion, maybe you have a different opinion, he should simply take an interview. He's had 3 opportunities in the last week, in the last 5-6 days. And I think he's blown every one of them. He should simply take an interview, and in that interview, he should say, you know, my son and I had an agreement that I wouldn't interfere in his business world. He wouldn't interfere in my politics. And that way, everything's arm's length. And in retrospect, that was probably a mistake. And I should have told him not to take that job in Ukraine. And he should have known not to take that job in Ukraine, which he has said. And that's the end of it. It was poor judgment on his part. But poor judgment is a completely different thing from corruption. We weren't trying to overturn an election. We weren't trying to interfere with a U.S. presidential election. We weren't trying to conspire with a foreign government. It was my son taking a job from a company overseas, which lawyers in the United States do all the time. There's nothing illegal about it. So, yeah, it was a mistake. You know, if that's the only example of poor judgment in my life, that's pretty good. I can think of a few others. You know, Joe Biden could say, you know, and maybe point out his support for the Bankruptcy Reform Act of 2005 that made it impossible for students to get out of, you know, to bankrupt their student debts, or his support of the Iraq War or something like that. Things that he's already acknowledged were mistakes, right? Just tick off a couple of them and just lay it out there, and then it gets done. Then it's over. But you know, the point that I was making, the larger point that I wanted to make in this entire context, is that Donald Trump's attack on Joe Biden right now is that his son worked for Burisma. This is the same guy whose daughter, Donald Trump's daughter, works in the White House. Donald Trump's son-in-law works in the White House. Rudy's son works in the White House. Bill Barr's son-in-law, the husband of Bill Barr's daughter, works in the White House. Bill Barr's daughter works at the Treasury Department. Donald Trump's sons are doing foreign business. They're traveling all over the world. Donald Trump's daughter is getting Chinese patents and Saudi grants. And he wants to talk about Hunter Biden? I mean, you know, pot, meat, kettle, right? I mean, this is like, really?